Hey there, folks. I hope I got some people joining in today. Welcome to Food for Action. This is, I think, my fifth or sixth time coming on here. And, yep, hi, folks. This is about I think, my fifth time doing this. And it's called Food for Action. It is a place that hopefully eventually I'll have like a smillion people following it and joining in, where we can talk about race relations in America, and then and we can talk about how we feel about these things, and doesn't matter what your walk of life is, doesn't matter where you come from, or what you believe in. I want everybody to be able to express what they feel, what they think, why they think it, why they feel it, and hopefully we will come to an understanding with each other of what's going on in this country, and hopefully find a way to bridge the gap because of misunderstandings, or because of misperceptions, or because of maybe sometimes just because you didn't know. A lot of people, they just don't know what's going on, and so because of that, they don't really have an opinion one way or the other. I want to thank everybody that's joining in live, and then anybody who can tune into it later. Welcome to you guys as well. I also have a special guest today. My daughter, my SMUNCHKIN, is going to be on in a few. I'm gonna try to. I think I learned how to do it, so I'm going to link her up here, and hopefully some people will have some questions and thoughts and things, and I know that she's probably going to have some fun stuff. I did not prep her, so she's not going to know what questions I'm going to ask her or anything, but I want to get her take on the state of the country, the nation. I want to get her take on the whole racism and racial divide. I want to see what my SMUNCHKIN, is there anything that I taught her, or is there anything she learned on her own, anything that I missed that I should have taught her? And so she's going to join us in a little bit, and I do have to forewarn you that when I get her on here, I'm probably going to have to do like some smushy family stuff first, where I say, "Hi, SMUNCHKIN, I love you so much," and all that. And by the way, you probably noticed I shaved, so that's a miracle. I finally got the courage to shave and get rid of that caveman look. So let's see. What else do I want to say? Oh, and a very important thing to Facebook people that are like the company of Facebook. I have been attempting to invite people to the page that goes along with this, the SBTSBC page that I created, and for some reason Facebook is not allowing me to invite people. Every time I try to invite people from the page, it doesn't work for some reason. So I've written them 8 messages so far and haven't had any response whatsoever. But I am hoping and praying that maybe they will finally jump on board, because I am paying to advertise on there as well. So anyways, to everybody who's here, I welcome you. I'm going to go over a couple of things. First, one of the messages that I get a lot has to do with people, and usually it's coming from the other side, or I'm always going to refer to the sides of, rather you're Republican, Democrat, or the left and the right, as media does these days. So usually from the right, I get a smillion questions about Black Lives Matter, and I tried to explain some of it last week. When people talk about Black Lives Matter, there's the hashtag, and I was trying to explain to people, because I get these questions about, are the founders of Black Lives Matter, are they Marxist, and are they, do they hate Christians, and all this crazy stuff? And I've seen some of the stuff. People have sent me links where I have seen some of these interviews where there's some Republicans that are black that are really going after the Black Lives Matter folks. So let me make 2 things clear. Number one, Black Lives Matter is a reality. Like, we have to to use that and understand that it really is because of the systemic racism in America that we definitely have to acknowledge that Black Lives Matter. It's not about everybody matters, all lives matter, and all that stuff. It literally is a place where we've been stuck and pigeonholed and stepped on for so long that when the founders of Black Lives Matter, when they made that hashtag and everybody gravitated towards the hashtag, it's something that's actually valuable to say. That it's a valuable expression, it's valuable meaning to it, because for so long we have literally in society, under the system, we have been held down to a certain extent where where you can't kind of rise above it. And so the phrase Black Lives Matter is very powerful. Now, let me get to this part. Everybody that says Black Lives Matter is not from the specific Black Lives Matter group that the three ladies founded. People have co-opted it, so that means even me. I don't subscribe to everything that everybody believes in, and I don't judge them for it either. That's the whole part. That's the whole beauty of being a Christian and being American and whatever else, is that you're allowed to embrace people and you don't have to believe everything that they say or whatever. But the phrase itself, Black Lives Matter, there are millions of people that use the phrase and mean the phrase, and it means a lot to them. But that doesn't mean that we subscribe to Marxism or that we describe to whatever. Now, although there are principles in there that are valuable for everybody, and everybody probably uses them when it comes to certain things, if you think about it. But the end all be all is that I just want to clarify, because a lot of people have this uncanny ability to try to find something that they can jump on so that they can discount your beliefs or your belief system, and that's one of the things that people are doing now because of certain statements that have been made previously from in interviews. They with one of the founders from Black Lives Matter, people jump on that, and it's like, okay, now we're going to kill the whole movement. Well, no, the movement has multiple wings with multiple followers from multiple parts of society, and it's not. We're believing in Black Lives Matter, not believing in a person. This is not about a person. This is about Black Lives Mattering. Okay, so I just wanted to get that to the side. So we got that. Now, let's see. Throughout this show today, or I'm calling it a show, this live stream, I will get into some other questions that were asked, and especially some questions that I got from some young folks, because I love the young folk, man. They're going to be the leaders tomorrow, and they happen to a lot of times be a little bit more receptive sometimes than us old people do, because we get stuck in our ways, and it's hard to break us out of those things. But one of the questions that I get from a lot of young folks is I've been getting a lot of questions about, well, how, as a young person, do you convince your parents that it's okay to have black friends, a black girlfriend, or a boyfriend? Because I've gotten it from dudes and girls and whatever. And so how do you take the stance and you like a girl or you like a guy, and the person happens to be a different skin tone, and you know that your parents are going to go crazy. How do they do that? I don't know exactly how to tell them, how to go about it. I tell them to follow their heart, and if they like somebody, don't let it, if you're questioning the fact that you're getting judged like that from your folks, I'm never going to tell anybody to disobey their parents. I am going to say, though, that if you have that moral compass that says, you know what, I like somebody, and their skin color doesn't matter to them as far as that, they're not looking at it as I have to be with a person of a specific race because the other thing is not accepted. Well, I tell them to just to go for it. I don't want to tell somebody else's children to be disobedient, but I want to say that we know what's right and we know what's wrong, and so do your best to obey your folks, but at the same time make sure that you also you don't have to be if you have parents that are prejudiced or whatever, then you understand that, you know it, you acknowledge it, but you make sure that that you don't let that become a part of your inside, part of your mentality just because they're that way. And hopefully someday they change. Maybe one day you'll get married, and they will sit there and say, you know what, I love your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And so that's cool. All right. So in a few minutes, I'm gonna bring my daughter online, my Smunchkin. She lives on the West Coast. I guess I can say this because nobody's going to try to hunt her down, but she lives in San Diego, and so we're going to get her on this thing here in a minute here. I have to see her, though, so I can click on her name, and I don't see her yet, so maybe she's busy. I don't know. By the way, anybody who's tuning in right now, please write a message or something. Say hi or whatever so I can know that you're there and I can acknowledge you. I know that's important in this thing called a conversation. I always call this a conversation because I want everybody to be able to take part in it. So if you're there, please say hi so I can know that you're there. Oh, hi, Smunchkin. Here's my Smunchkin. Okay, I'm going to bring my Smunchkin in since she's there right now. Let's see, how can I get it done? I clicked on her name. Oh, wait a minute, that's not working. It says I'm supposed to click on her name, but I want to stay on this page. Oh boy. Maybe I am going to have a problem trying to do this. I don't know. I'm supposed to be able to click on her name. If anybody has any directions of how I can do this, because now it's not working right for some reason. Maybe, let's see if there's something else here. Hi, Amanda. Mandy. I sent you a message a little bit ago. I do want to have you on soon, and we'll have a lot to go to talk about. But so I hope you're doing well. I'm trying to find out how to bring my daughter into this thing. I thought I had it worked out because I tried it earlier, but for some reason it is not working right now. Let's see. Hi, Mom. I love you, Mom and Dad. I'm getting ready to try to get Allegra in here if I can get her back. We did like a little practice run earlier today, and I was able to connect her to this. And for some reason, it's not happening now. Let me see if I can do it from this. Let's see. Oh, here we go. I think we got her. Okay, Smunchkin, I'm getting ready to bring you... Oh, snap! Whoops! Sorry, I think I left you guys by accident. Let's see, how can I do this? Okay, I'm gonna... Okay, hold on. Do you guys see me still? I hope so. Whoops. She's not answering. Hold on. I hope you guys are still seeing me well. I'm trying to navigate through this. Smunchkin, you're not answering the phone. It's ringing for you, and you're not answering for some reason. So maybe this is going to be a total fiasco. Okay, you do see me. Okay. Allegra, can you answer your phone, though? Because I'm calling you, and you're not picking up. All right, well, while we try to work through that, again, I want to make sure that you guys are continuing to talk amongst each other during the week. I am going to be doing Wednesdays and Sundays, not changing the time. I thought I was going to change it, but I'm not. I'm going to do Wednesday and Sunday every week and try to attack some of these issues that are going on. Oh, by the way, somebody started this thing in the media about Black Lives Matters and wanting to tear down Christian monuments and stuff. That is a bunch of baloney. So there is a lot of deception going on, and I hope that people aren't buying into that, because that is absolutely zero and not the case. So,
am I on?
Hey, Smunchkin. I have my Smunchkin's voice. I'm going to see if I can bring her in. Smunchkin, how are you? I love you.
Good. I don't think it's working.
No, you're coming through. I'm hearing you. I'm listening to you. Everybody, can you hear my daughter? I hope so. All right. I got to see
I
how.
can't see anything.
Hold on. You can see me now, right? Right?
Nope.
I can see you.
Alright,
Okay,
well, I
now I'm
can't see
sharing
you,
you.
but
Okay. Huh? All right. So let's go back here. Oh. Amanda, were you able to see my Smunchkin when I put her on here a minute ago? I'm sorry about all this. Well, uh, this is the craziest thing. I don't know why people even. This is just nuts. Video chat. Uh, well, I hope when I try to do this again that everybody will be able to see her too. I don't know if I'm putting you on and taking myself out. Were you able to see a Smunchkin and me at the same time, or just her? I'm talking to Amanda now. She says yes. Hopefully. All right. Well, let me.
I can't see the comments.
You can't see the comments.
No.
Sorry. Well, you're gonna have to split your screen, I think, Allegra. So,
Well, just let me know if any comments
I'm
come up.
looking at you right now, Allegra, and I don't know if people can see me anymore. So, this is crazy. Here, maybe I'll make my screen small, and then that way I can see both things. Here, let's do that. Sorry, everybody who is watching that I'm going through this, but I have to. I gotta learn somehow. Can you see me, Smunchkin?
Here.
Can you see me? Okay. Can you see me, Smunchkin? Allegra,
Yeah.
can you
You're
still see?
sharing your whole screen, so whatever you're seeing on your screen right now, I can see everything.
Right now. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully everybody can see you because I can't see you now because I had to go back to this because I want to be able to see if anybody's typing anything, and I'm trying to learn how to scroll and talk and everything at the same time. So, Smunchkin, I want to ask you a couple questions first, okay? So, at what age do you think you were? Because I know I always talk to you about different racial things, never ugly, but just trying to explain different things to you along the way. At what age did you did it register in your mind that you're that there's you have a black father and a white mom, and when did all that register in your brain?
I think that, um, well, first of all, I think at a young age that you both didn't, it was never really a thing to be said.
Right.
Because that was just how it was.
Uh-huh.
And there wasn't really a conversation. I just, like, how I talk about color blindness
Right.
not really being a thing that needs to happen anymore.
Right.
But at the same time, I think when I was younger, that's kind of what it was, because I didn't care. There was nothing to talk about. It wasn't necessarily something that you or mom had to sit me down and say that, by the way, your family's different colors. It's just something that I knew.
Okay.
And it wasn't a thing. But I do think once I got older and started to understand that there were definitely situations that we were in that people in public looked at us a certain way, or maybe meeting some new friends for the first time where you kind of have to explain the situation.
Okay. Can everybody at least hear my Smunchkin? Because I don't know how to get her in here. I'll have it figured better last time. Somehow we did it. Remember, Allegra? We did it earlier today, but somehow I can't do it now for some reason. So I hope everybody can at least hear you.
I think they can hear. They probably just can't see can't see me.
Okay. All right. So okay. So that what is your first or how about this? Do you have an experience that 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 maybe hit home to you of finding out that maybe somebody that a friend or classmate or somebody that you work with or whatever that you said you thought they were really cool, y'all got along, and then all of a sudden you heard something that seemed maybe racist or partially racist or whatever that means, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not sure what my first experience would be. I think it happened a lot. Nothing really too, like, at least at that age, because it takes a while for a young person to understand what exactly is going on.
Okay.
But there's definitely been some moments where, you know, maybe I was a little girl, like, try not to say names here, but you might know.
Right.
Where maybe I'd go and spend the night at a friend's house when I was a little girl, like elementary school age.
Uh-huh.
And there would be times where maybe mom had dropped me off.
Okay.
And then maybe you'd be the one to come pick me up.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd always be like, who's that? What's going on? You know?
And that wasn't just because I looked weird?
I mean, that might partially have to do with it. Your crazy hair and,
right.
And your piercings.
Uh-huh.
But it's just different. I mean,
so was it something you felt?
Could be a thing, but
is it something you felt or something that, did they actually say something?
It's just something you felt and you just kind of get that vibe. Because if you think about it, if I had, you know, mom says, oh, Allegra's dad is coming to pick her up from her house. Cool. And then someone who's white comes and picks me up. There's probably no question. There's probably not no who's that.
Right.
Where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening right now?
Right.
You know?
Okay. I want first. Let me say this. Let me interject real quick. Anybody who just jumped on, I'm talking to my SMUNCHKIN. She's my special guest today. We weren't able to figure out the video thing. We had it worked out earlier, so I'm going to have her on again, probably 100 times. But we do have her audio, so you can hear her. So just wanted you to know that when you hear a girl's voice, it's not me playing tricks on you. It's my SMUNCHKIN. She's in San Diego, and she's given us a little take on her life experiences when it comes to racial scenarios, good or bad, or indifferent. So just wanted you guys to know that my SMUNCHKIN, some of you know her as NATHALIAH, some of you know her as Nat, some of y'all know her as Allegra, or Legs, and whatever else crazy stuff people call you, but she, to me, is my SMUNCHKIN forever and always. All right, SMUNCHKIN, so tell me this. I want you,
I want to say
wait, okay.
Another probably the biggest one that I have, and I guess it's the earliest, but I guess it's one of those big moments that sticks in your mind.
Okay.
And I only had to be like 4 years old, was that time at the mall.
Okay, tell them what happened.
So, we're playing at the mall in Charleston, and they have that little, you know, in the malls they have stairs and they have that ramp made for people with disabilities or wheelchairs or whatever.
Yep.
And we used to.
What mall? You can say the name.
Girl, I used to love to.
Which mall?
The Northwoods Mall.
Northwoods Mall, North Charleston, South Carolina. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, we'd just be playing around. I'd like to run up and down that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we had got stopped by people that thought that there was an issue going on because we were running around.
Yep.
And then the security ended up coming up.
Yep.
And then they didn't believe that you were my dad. They thought you were trying to do something.
Yep. How crazy is that, huh?
And you can probably.
Hey, what's up, Big Allegra? Hold on. What's up, Big Show? How you doing, brother?
You remember? But the biggest thing that I also got from that is that after that happened,
yeah,
you felt the need to get our pictures plastered on your T-shirts.
Yeah, that is true.
And,
yep.
and you would wear a lanyard.
Yep.
Literally like a lanyard that you wear at a concert that has like your picture on it or
Yep.
an ID.
Yep.
Would wear that.
Mm-hmm.
It would have your name on it, but it would also have a picture of me and you.
That's correct. Yeah. So and
you would keep pictures of us in your glove box so
Yep.
that people would know.
Yep. Give me 1 second. I want to say something about that real quick, but also I have to shout out the Big Show. Big Show, what's happening, my dog? You still on the radio? I hope so, because you know Charleston loves you. Um, I don't know if I told you that I was doing this. I probably should have let you know. But this is my live stream, and I am talking about race relations in America right now. My SMUNCHKIN, my daughter, is my guest today, and we're talking about stuff. I'd love to have you on the show at some point, Big Show. So reach out to me, man. Give me a private message, or my phone number is on the page as well. Okay, brother, good to see you here. So let me expound on what my SMUNCHKIN just told you. So when she was 3 or 4, we spent a lot of time shopping. I just loved to buy baby clothes and buy her fun stuff and just see her be happy and running and being crazy. But anybody who knows me personally knows that I'm a very energetic, or at least was before I got sick. But I just had nonstop energy. And so we would run all over the mall and just do crazy stuff. And what started happening in the mall is that some older white folks was the first time, and they just stopped and they were like just standing there staring at us like there was a problem while we were. And so I just tried to ignore them and whatever. And I think a couple more people stopped, and then finally security came up, and I had to prove that she was my daughter. So after that, I ended up getting the shirts like she said. I would start wearing this lanyard from when I was on tour with the Backstreet Boys, and I used to wear that, which also had pictures of me and her. And I also had a copy of her birth certificate, social security card, and I would carry this stuff, and I still do to this day. I always have that stuff with me. It's become a practice, and it's sad that's the kind of world. That's why I try to tell everybody that this is nothing new. You know, a lot of you guys, especially white folks, a lot of y'all are seeing this for the first time and acknowledging it. I've lived this experience. This is my life, and then when my daughter was born, it became our life, and so uh, you know, just picture having to carry around ID uh, to prove that your daughter is your that your child is your child, instead of just being able to go out and have fun with your child. And that is how most of our life was, until when she got to high school and walked around with me. And because we're about the same height, I have about a half inch on her. But but when at that point, when she was close to graduating, we literally had people that thought she was my girlfriend. It was so strange. We got stopped by a kiosk in the Northwoods Mall again, where the guy was like, "You need a new phone," and then he said, "Do you want to get a new phone for your girlfriend?" I was like, "This is my daughter, man. What?" so so that this is really how and I have to say it again. This is how white folks are. White folks, for the most part, they instantly have a visual judgment of what you are, and so that's kind of something that me and my SMUNCHKIN have had to live with, and still go through stuff. Not just because I look strange, but because people are always questioning. Allegra, I want her to tell you guys a story that she told me recently. You and your husband, Omar, y'all was having a party. Tell everybody about what happened with the guy that was saying some things, and be descriptive about it, because I want people to understand the whole setting and everything.
Wait.
About okay, the guy. Remember the guy that was selling some kind of jokes or whatever he was doing, and then you ended up having to show him pictures of us.
Oh, that was a while ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Omar, that wasn't at our house. That was a long time ago, and they were cool people. They're my friends, but I feel like being how I look behind closed doors, I could be with a certain group of people that necessarily wouldn't say things in front of black people or a person of color.
Right.
So when I'm there by myself in a room with white people, they will just bring out jokes and things that they basically feel like they don't have to censor themselves.
And tell everybody why. Tell everybody why, because a lot of people that tune in don't know who you are or don't know what you look like and whatever.
Oh yeah, because I guess they can't see me, but I'm
right.
white. I'm white.
My daughter looks very white.
I have fair skin. I have green eyes and freckles and very light brown hair.
Yeah. If you search around my page, she is both of the pictures on the cover of my page. That is my daughter. She's not just a random white child that I took pictures with. Okay, go ahead, Allegra.
So yeah, I think you're thinking of a time I told you a while back. And basically, this group of people didn't necessarily have bad intentions,
but they felt safe.
It's just because they were unaware, and I can't recall exactly.
All right. Well, let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you real quick again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting my daughter, but the thing that stood out to me was that she said she was at some kind of party gathering type of scenario, and the people that she was with did not know who her father was. So they just knew her. And my daughter again, she looks like she's Caucasian, white, period. She doesn't look anything like when we're together, we make similar faces and we have a similar sense of humor. But other than that, she looks like a white girl. And so, and she's my favorite white girl in the universe. But apparently this guy was saying some racially toned jokes, and because he didn't know that. And so now I went, but tell them what you did, Allegra.
Oh, I just started feeling kind of uncomfortable because what they were saying weren't just, little slight jokes. It wasn't like, oh, you like fried chicken. It was some pretty insensitive stuff, so I had to stand up in the middle of the room kind of embarrassed and just tell them, I just want to show you what I'm made of. And I showed them some pictures of me and you, and also into some of the things that they were saying, and letting them know that it wasn't right, that it was inappropriate.
Right. Do you feel like you have to say something when you hear that stuff going on, or do you choose? I mean, I know in this particular case you chose to say something, and there's several other times that you told me about that where you said something. But do you ever feel like maybe you don't want to say something?
No, I don't think I've ever been, and I think that's because, I mean, you know me, I can be a very quiet person, and there are plenty of other situations I can just keep my mouth closed and move on because it's not worth it.
Right.
But when it comes to things like that, I can definitely at least let people know that what they're saying may be insensitive.
Right.
Never reaching out or blowing up on anyone.
Right.
There's a lot of people that I know who just aren't aware.
Right.
And I especially do it now that this recent movement is becoming more widespread, especially because of social media.
Right.
So I definitely have no problem speaking up and really elaborating how I feel about it.
Yeah. You are a princess. I one of the first, I think the second time I went on here, I was literally telling people that sometimes you claim your blackness more than I do, outrightly, which is hilarious. Let me tell you a story that I don't know if you remember, Allegra, but when my SMUNCHKIN got to be time to get a driver's license, I was like, oh, I want to take you. And then your mom was like, oh, she's going to take you. It just so happened to work out to where she had to go to work on the day when you were supposed to have your test. So she called me, and I ended up getting to take you. And you filled out your paperwork and for race you put black, and she put black on her driver's license. It's the most hilarious thing in the world because she doesn't look anything, but they actually filled it out
Yeah.
that way on
So
her
that
license.
was funny because they looked at me, and so partially I was, for the driver's license it's different because obviously they want you to put what you look like, not necessarily what you're made of.
Right.
I feel like that was just me having fun with it.
Yeah.
But another example of that is like there's all types of forms for different things in life you need to fill out, and for pretty much no reason at all they ask you what your race is. There's really no point.
Right.
And usually instead of putting black or white or Asian or whatever, I always circle or check mark other.
You are an other. So let me interrupt you real quick. I have to do this. So everybody, again, thank you for tuning in. And then folks who look at us later, thank you for tuning in. My daughter is my guest today. She's telling me about some of her experiences growing up being with a black father and a white mama, and she looks 100% white, and she's had some experiences about this stuff, which is just crazy. She is my first guest, and starting this week is where every week I'm going to try to have somebody else on, somebody from my life that I've shared significant time, rather friends or girlfriends or whatever. My mom and dad, so I'm gonna have different folks on. If you're here, please put a message somewhere to me so that I can know that you were here. That's important so that I can reach out to people, get opinions. If you have stories, if you have experiences that you want to share, if you have questions, if you believe that everything that I talk about or we approach or broach that you think it's all bullcrap, tell me that too. I want to know everybody, and I want to learn. I feel that I've been somehow or another given this mission to help create another avenue, another vessel for people to approach race. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it brings tears. Sometimes it's.
Can you press?
Huh?
Go on your computer.
Yeah.
And press.
I see this. Press what?
Press see more.
See more?
Press see more on Amanda's comment.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. Yeah, Amanda's been tuning in. She's awesome. She's going to be on too. I'm going to talk to her, and we're going to. Yeah, so she's definitely awesome, and she has a beautiful son who's black. It's great. But anyways, so yeah, so if but I this is about having a conversation, and I want people to feel that I want people to feel like talking about it. For so long, so many people just kind of hide this stuff and think that it's not okay to talk about it. But it is okay, and it's more than okay. As a matter of fact, it should be one of the prime things that people are talking about. It's not a sin. It's not something that you should run away from, because this is part of relationships. And this is not a world where it's just white people and just black people or whatever. This is a land of plenty, and but we know that in this country, since the forming of this land, this whole America thing, there has been a very incredibly strained relationship with black folk and white folk, and so we want to try to acknowledge that it exists, and then talk about where to go, from here. Because what I pray at the end of the day is that by the time my daughter has kids, and they have kids, and they have kids, and at least about four or five generations from now, we don't ever have to talk about it, because there's no such thing as racism no more. But right now there is, and so we're gonna rap about it. All right, Allegra, what would you like to tell people? Like, what is your view? Here's another question. Tell me what you think about the recent uh, um, um, police killings of black folk that have just happened. And I know that you are aware of ones that happened way before now. But tell me what you think about that whole stance. Police black people? Tell me.
I think that there's definitely racial judgment that comes from police and what leads to unnecessary killings and shootings. And there's just a lot of people that don't understand that. The people who want to say blue lives matter, all lives matter.
Right.
And just like you were saying at the beginning of the video, that that's not what Black Lives Matter means.
Right.
And yeah, it's nothing new. The biggest names right now are part of, the protests and things that are going on, but this has been going on forever.
Yes, it has.
This was when I was in middle school or high school. A big one that happened in Charleston, right off of Rivers Avenue, about 5 minutes from my house, was, I hope I'm not saying the wrong name, but it was Walter Scott, right?
Yes. Yep.
He got shot in the back.
Yes.
And you can still look up that video today. And if anybody has anything to say to defend the police officer that did that, I just pray that you watch the video and realize that it was uncalled for and it was based on racial judgment.
Right.
You can see him. He got stopped. He was unarmed. And he was scared for his life before he got shot because he knew what could happen. So he wasn't even really sprinting in a different direction. He was jogging in a different direction and got shot in the back like 9 times or so.
I know.
And it's just one of the saddest things you can ever see is someone kill somebody else.
For no reason.
Still be able to Google that today, and you can literally watch it happen. Is crazy.
It's heartbreaking that that there are people in this world and in this country that can literally see things like that, and like the recent I can't say it. You know what I mean? The recent murders and they see those things and they try to justify why the police could do those things. What makes that okay? But yet the guy can go into a church in Charleston and shoot a bunch of black folk, and they can take them for McDonald's on the way to the jail.
Burger King.
But whatever, fast food. Yeah, because I love McDonald's. So Burger King fries suck. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, but they literally took that kid to get some food on the way to jail after killing a church full of folks praying, doing their midweek Bible study.
Yeah.
And they kill these folks.
One of the members of the church that got killed was one of my friends growing up, Chris Singleton.
Yeah. Yep.
His mom.
Yes.
His mom was one of the deaths.
Yep. But just think about that. Could you imagine? Can anybody out there? Can you imagine that somebody goes into a place where you're worshiping or studying or any kind of place, and they kill people, and then the police get the guy, and they take him to get a snack before they take him to jail? But yet, if you're a brother and you're jogging like dude in Georgia, you're jogging and your mistake was that you went into an empty house that was being built to get some water because they had a water hose, which later they discovered there was plenty of film of white people going in there and black people going in there to use that water hose in the midst of days. And he gets not just chased down, he gets trapped between a car chasing him. The car knocks him, sideswipes him. He still runs away. Another guy sit there, one dude in the back with a gun, and his dad, and literally They murder. They track him down, like hunting him down to kill him. And what happens to them? They don't even get arrested until what? A couple weeks later, and they try to figure it out. And it wasn't because the only way that it got to the point it is now, where we're hopefully going to see justice, is because it became such an uproar, and so many white folks came to stand by us, to support us in the protests. It takes all that. But yet the white dude can kill a church full of black folk and go get some Burger King, or yeah, some Burger King. I mean, this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
Right or left
And
side, whatever side you're from, that should not be okay. Go ahead, Laker.
I also see another side that people are taking where, you know, they want to defend what has happened to someone that has been affected by police brutality by saying it doesn't matter because they were guilty of the crime. I don't think, first, being guilty of a crime is a whole different thing than getting murdered in the street before you get to have a trial.
Exactly.
But
Lager, a question to you: if the crime is getting some water out of a hose, is that a crime that is guilty of death?
No.
It's not. It's trespassing. Trespassing has a fine. There's a fine attached to trespassing unless you do it multiple times.
Yeah, and so there should not be a police officer to take that into their own hands.
Right, but that wasn't even a police officer. That was an ex-police officer and his son.
Well, yeah, but I'm just talking generally.
In general, right.
What the kind of trend is, you know, with George Floyd, he...
Right.
First of all, with him, there's been many different reports that kind of that tweak the story a little bit about, did he use counterfeit money,
right,
or did he do a fake check, something like that, at the convenience store?
Right.
But whatever he did, then he can get arrested and go to jail for it.
Right.
He doesn't get stopped and manhandled and killed on the side of the street.
Right. Exactly.
The way that he did.
Right.
Because of the mistake that he made.
Right. So I know that the crime actually was that they were accused of him and some friends. They were going through the checkout and they had a $20 bill, which was supposed to be counterfeit. Now, all we know this, that anybody can end up with a counterfeit bill the way that money changes hands. So that could be anybody. So it doesn't even. So it's not even necessarily the fact that that was his fake bill. It was the fact that it was in his possession. But that doesn't warrant dying. It doesn't warrant a knee in your neck for 8 minutes, 9 minutes, or whatever.
Not even going into all of that. If he knew what he was doing and it was unlawful,
right,
it doesn't matter.
That's correct.
At the end of the day.
That's right.
He doesn't deserve to be killed by law enforcement.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's a sad place. So tell me, like, what message would you have for everybody that's listening? And I hope Mercy's here today. I thought she was going to tune in. I don't know if she showed up or not. I don't see any more messages after Amanda. So, Terry Hall. Hi, Terry Hall. Sounds interesting. Just want to stop. Thank you for stopping by, Terry. I'm doing okay. I appreciate you stopping by. That's awesome, and you got to listen to my daughter, which is really cool too. Oh yeah. So I was asking you. Tell me, what message would you want to say to America? Say, for instance, somehow or another, this went viral at some point, and actually, rather it's one person or a million people. What would you want to say about race relationships in general? And I want it, but not just in general and over encompassing, but also in relations to white racism against black folk, particularly that. what would you say? Hi, Kathy. What would you say, Allegra? You're listening to my Smunchkin talk right now, Kathy. Okay, go.
Um,
Say hi to Kathy, Allegra.
Hi, Kathy.
All right, go. Tell the world what you believe and what you want them to know about white racism towards black folks.
I guess I would say that every white person should take a moment to open themselves up to understanding what racism is and um, understanding that systemic slash people like to say systematic
Right.
uh, what that means and that it is real,
Okay.
and then dive into themselves, because there's people that know that they are it and admit it. There's people that know that they're it but don't admit it, and there's people that don't know that they're it and they are.
Okay.
And just take some time to just understand what it is and then learn how they can change that and be different and how to help eliminate it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what I would say, because your question, I feel like, is pretty general, and there's
Right.
so many different types of people that have the racist or prejudice qualities,
Right.
and each of those people have to kind of take a different path and have a different conversation, to each their own, to understand why it's wrong and how to change it themselves.
Yep.
And then if I were to give a general message to the world, if this happened to go viral, I would tell everybody that they need to do that research, and then they need to go vote for their local and federal nationwide officials, and that is the biggest way that you're going to be able to change how the system works and to nix that systemic oppression.
Right. And that's very valuable to everything that you said. But two of the things are to me are more valuable is that studying. One of the things that I've been doing since this happened, and Smunchkin, you know about some of this because we talk about it a lot, but I have been studying. Oh, I have taken this as almost like a job where I spend a lot of time researching the things that people ask me. People, or if people write me private messages and say things, whether they're nice or mean, I take lots of time to study it. I want to understand why people are saying these things and why people believe these things. I want to understand why I believe the things that I believe. So I study everybody's view. I don't just want to be a left side or a right side Republican Democrat. I want to be a true loving Christian man who wants to be able to embrace all people. And but I also want to be able to be a a man that can have the conversations that are ugly, where we can approach these things like this and feel okay doing it. Feel like people are going to be receptive. The problem that we have today is that there are so many people that want to judge when we do this whole Black Lives Matter, or when we want to protest something like that, and they want to judge that, and but yet their backing up of their stance is literally because of something that they heard Trump say, or something that they heard some right wing whatever, or Fox News or whatever, and that becomes the only ground that they stand on. They have no knowledge about what they're talking about. They just heard it 12 times on Fox News, so they're going to send me a message talking about, you know, Black Lives Matter is BS. So that to me is the problem. And so I don't ever want to be the person at the conversation that has to go to somebody else to figure out why I feel a way or to back up what I'm trying to say or my point of view. I want to have knowledge, and that is what I think would, at the end of the day, would cure this problem. If more people had knowledge and really realized that they were doing something bad, they probably wouldn't do it, unless you're just an evil person. And I believe that. That's a concept that I think, proven or not, I think that to be true. Is that most people, at least in this world, if they know that what they're doing is bad, would probably not do the bad thing. I just hope that at least people have that trait. Um, well, everybody, we're gonna hang in here a little bit longer than I usually do. Smunchkin, if you have anything that you want to pipe in, let me know. I promised Kathy and a couple other folks that I was gonna talk about systemic uh, racism and how it came to be, because a lot of people write me that message as well. What the heck is systemic racism, and why do people believe that exists? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the 20-second crash course. So um, I have, for anybody who wants to delve into it in depth, I'm going to do a special, I don't know what day yet, but I will do a special systemic racism hour where I literally break it down to the periods of this nation, because I did some of that homework. So, but the fast version is this: we all know that this country was uh, was found, discovered with European folk trying to discover a new world. So we know that happened, and we know that at some point people landed here and created settlements, and those people were gonna. I have to say it this way because it's the only way to say it. These people were white in skin color and quote unquote ethnicity. These folk were white, and when they arrived here and they did these so-called settlements and things, the only folk that were on this land at that point were uh, Native Americans, or what they called Indians at that day. And so those folk were here, and those folks were trying to be. They were scared, but they were trying to create this little relationship where they were trying to trade the knowledge for some goods and so on. And then at a certain point, uh, the white folks, settlers, began to be, I guess I could only call it, greedy. And at that point, they wanted to run the Native Americans off the land that was theirs. So this country was not always America, and it wasn't always white folks. This country was Native Americans, and it was their land. Just a refresher, if anybody needs to know. It was not. It wasn't like somebody discovered a land with no people, and then it was like, okay, this is America. Wait a minute, where did Native Americans come from? That's not what it was. So, anyways, and at a point, the the Americans, quote unquote, gave the Native Americans some land. I don't know, and it's still justified to this day. I don't know how that is and how anybody thinks that that's okay, but that's what's going on still to this day. Even at those places where they say that they're not governed by American laws, we quote unquote America still does have some laws that they impose on their land. For example, in some of the territory, since this pandemic has been going on, they tried to, one of the native settlements or areas, they were trying to impose their rule of anybody who is infected or whatever with the whole coronavirus, you're not allowed to go past the signs that they put up. And American law then came down and told them that they could not do that. How are they allowed to do that? I don't know. Haven't heard anybody complaining about that, but that is going on. So, anyways, back to the point is that so of course white America gave the Native Americans some land. Well, then at a point, they had this brilliant idea that the work was too hard for them because the land was so plentiful that they needed to have some people to help make this thing and build it up, and more creations, and we need to farm because the Native Americans told them how to farm and where to farm and so on and so forth. And so what did they do? They started the slave trade. And so, and to make that, because that's a long lesson in itself, but that is where black folk ended up coming over here as slaves. Um, and they were traded, and they were property. They were not people. That is what this country was founded on, was that uh, this is our white America, even though it was the Native Americans, but now we're going to have some slaves, which are black people, but they're not people, they're property, and they're the work and the labor. Okay, so um, so we know that that existed, and then we're going to go ahead and fast forward to a point where there became the movement, which was where my folks uh, are deeply in, but there became the Martin Luther King and all of those types of protests and walkouts and stand-in, sit-ins, and so on. And then, um, but but before that, I'm sorry, I almost got off the point. The point is that the the laws and the rule was always white folks, and little by little, as we fought for some quote unquote equality and some justice, little by little, they threw a bone. In other words, this person is getting so powerful and so loud and having so many followers, we'll quote unquote give them a law, or give them a code, or let them be in an office, or we'll let them be on a football team or a basketball team, or we'll, they're our favorite singer, or so on. But never inviting us to the party 100%. In other words, meaning that we'll let everybody have an equal seat at the table. There has never been that in this country, ever, anywhere, in no business whatsoever. So when people talk about systemic, I'll take it to what my Smunchkin said a little bit ago about systems. So we know that in this country we have a government system. In this country, we have an educational system. In this country, we have a legal system. And all these systems are ruled over, and most of the people at the table in the positions of power are white people. So there's never an evening out of the playing field. There's always the legacy of the son, the grandson, the nephew, the whatever, that took over the seats when the next people left, and so on, or their friends or whatever. And so there's never been there's no company, there's no structure, there's no system at all, at zero in this country, where there is an even playing field for black and brown people. And that is the short version of what systemic racism is. Now, like I said, we'll do another version later, but the point is that the foundation of this land was built off of whatever white folks say goes. And everybody else has to work for maybe a seat or a handout or a whatever. And so when you want to know why black folks, brown folks, or other quote unquote minorities are complaining about, that's it. We are complaining about that. That there's no seats at the table for everybody that are evenly respected, equally respected. We just get a couple here and there. And don't get me wrong, I am not belittling the fact of people working and becoming a Tim Scott or whoever else. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is that there's not an even playing field to make the laws and the rules of this country equal for everybody, because we don't have the positions to do that. We don't have that. It's not available. And we work and we strive, and we all want that eventually, to where we're not scared to do this, to where I don't have to, like I taught my Smunchkin different things about what she should look out for. And because there are going to be people that realize that her father is black, and so they might have a vendetta or whatever. Well, there should be a day when we get to, hopefully, prayerfully, where those kind of conversations don't have to happen. You don't have to have a conversation of because there's a different skin color of yourself or your folks or your friends, that you know that you're going to be targeted and so on. And that's not going to happen until the playing field, I hate to use that phrase, but until the playing field is even and equal for everybody. And it is not that still. All the people who try to send me messages about, oh, everybody can be what you want to be. No, that is not the case. That is definitely not the case, and we can talk about it if you'd like to. But it is not an even playing field. Until the powerful seats of the people that make the laws and write the laws and enforce the laws, until everybody has an even playing field to make those types of decisions and to set those rules, until it's even for everybody and it's not just a majority of white people, until that becomes the case, then you cannot say that to anybody that is non-white. You can't say that everybody can be what they want to be and everybody can do what they want to do. I'm fortunate that I'm able to play music because my dad, my mom, and whatever, music was the thing. My dad is the greatest freaking jazz trumpet players in the universe. My mom, classical music, and they taught us all the stuff. And so I was fortunate enough to not, because of that upbringing, I didn't choose to go another route. I love music, and that's what I've always done. But when you're growing up and you want to be a police officer, doctor, politician, and so on, I feel for those folks so bad, because when they get to the table, when they get their licenses and all the studying done, and they think that they're just going to change the rules, and then they find out, no, we're not going to just change the rules. You got a bunch of butt kissing to do, and to try to get a seat at the table, even though you have the license to do whatever. It's not open for that. There's no discussion about it either. They have plenty of work to do. So, anyways,
I
so
just want to chime in and
yes, go
say
ahead.
that
Go ahead.
uh,
Oh, wait.
it's not
But you guys are listening to my SMUNCHKIN. She is my guest today, my daughter, my SMUNCHKIN, NATHALIAH ALLEGRA MORANT. Yes, sir. So she's my guest today, and she's talking to you guys on her perception of racism in America. Go.
I would say that systemic racism isn't even just about people trying to get to the higher places. It's things that happen in everyday life. Just like you said,
Very good point.
that uh, you know the ideals are passed down from generation to generation. So there's people that still have in their minds what their parents and their parents and their parents told them.
Yep.
So there's black people who are living their everyday lives. They are walking down the street, and white people are going to have judgments come across their mind. There's people that are going to grab onto their purses.
Right.
People who are going to watch them walking through stores.
Yep.
Or who are going to walk in the opposite direction in broad daylight in a crowded area, because they have a perception from what they've been told that black people are. So that's the whole systemic racism thing isn't just about that they can't get ahead.
That's true.
It's about the ideals that are instilled in some white people, that they're not at the same level as them in all aspects of life.
That is true. Look, and to further your point, it goes as deep as this. And anybody who's still tuning in, or anybody who looks at this later, do some research on this. Is that it's as bad as the fact that when you think about the color white and the color black as a crayon or a color of clothing, just think that if you look up the definition in the dictionary, I invite everybody to do that. I don't even want to go any further. Just look up the definitions, and you will see how many negative things are attached, how many negative connotations are attached to the color black of crayon, the literal color black, and how many wonderful things are listed under the definition of the color white. Even to the point where, when first, even silent TV and whatever, the villain would always be in black. The good guy would always be in white. And that is still carried on a lot today in TVs and books and so on. So that is literally part of systemic racism, is that somebody institutionalized that in to a fashion where they put that connotation, they put a negative connotation to the color black and a positive connotation to the color white, which means that in your mind you're subliminally growing up with this feeling that anything that's the darkest is going to not be good. This is
Yeah.
literal.
I mean, if anyone is listening right now to me, there's something that I saw online, which is crazy. You can get on your Google right now. I did it myself. Google unprofessional hairstyles for work, and then Google hairstyles for work. If you Google, because girls do that, look up what different hairstyles you can do for your days out, your nights out, or going to work or whatever. If you Google hairstyles for work, you will see white people with shiny, beautiful hair. If you look up unprofessional hairstyles for work, it's going to be black people with natural hair.
What styles is it, or is it just that it's black people?
Natural hair.
So like afro or braids, or
afros and braids.
how about that, people? And that is my white daughter telling you this. This is literal. There are so many quote unquote subliminal things that we don't even realize that are getting pushed put into our minds, that sometimes when people are to a certain level of racist, you almost can't fault the people because we know where that came from and why they're doing it. Now, once they take it to action, and it's not just a thought, then we know that we got some fixing to do. But I understand why people have some perceptions, because I know those things. I know what they are. I mean, something as simple as the definition of a color, it's a no-brainer why people have those misconceptions, and it's sad. It's not acceptable, and it sucks. And we have to get to a point, though, that I think the meaning for all of this is that we have to get to a point where it's not just me and my SMUNCHKIN that acknowledge that. It's not just black people that acknowledge that. White folks have to stand up and acknowledge that these things exist. Until you do, there's not a cure. We can fight all we want to. There's no cure. Look, all these things that have happened lately where these policemen have been held to accountability for some of these things that have just happened, that wasn't happening before. Now all of a sudden we got thousands of white folks marching besides us in the protest, and now they're putting people on trial and arresting folks for doing those things that they got away with for years. When I was growing up and a little kid, I remember so many black people getting killed. Nobody was saying nothing. It wasn't on the news. So, white folks, we need you. We need you to stand up. We need you to learn. We need you to say it's worth learning, or at least it's worth investigating. It's worth taking some time to see if the things that you're hearing from me now and my daughter and whoever else you're listening to see what they mean, where they come from. Study it. If you find out that I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Show me I'm wrong. But if you can't, if you have no clue except that you heard what you heard Trump say yesterday, if that's all you got, that's not called knowledge. That's called regurgitating garbage, literally. All right, listen, folks. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me and my SMUNCHKIN today. Please keep the conversation going. Keep the conversation alive. That's the point of all this. We want to talk about it. We want you to continue to have conversations amongst yourselves. Have conversations in the threads of Messenger and whatever else. Talk to your other white friends. Talk to the black coworkers. Talk to whoever. Talk to people. Conversate about this. Study this. try to find out what what is real and what is imagination. What are you just following the leader with, and you believe in something because so and so and everybody around does it. Find out. Have a strong, powerful mind of your own so that way when you approach a situation that used to be covered in hate, you're able to say you might be able to reanalyze it and come up with a different conclusion. So, but until then, we're here every Wednesday, every Sunday. Smunchkin, I love you. I'm gonna have my daughter, my Smunchkin. I'm gonna have her come back again soon, and we'll have some more conversating. And I have plenty more people coming to the table so that we can continue the conversation about racism in America. It is real. It is sad. It is hurtful. It is harmful, and we want to figure it out. And we want to keep the conversation going. Let's see. I have a sponsor that's going to be coming to the table, and I don't have their stuff on hand right now, so I'll advertise it. It's a clothing company that are friends of mine on Instagram. So don't forget to look up Instagram. That's OB underscore SBTSBC. Um, and that's also my page on Facebook. Besides here, you can always look up under OB Morant, but you can look up under OB underscore SBTSBC. And the same address is also on Instagram. We're also on YouTube under the same thing. So I'm trying to make it easy for people to look wherever, and so that way you can also share with other friends. If you find anything that we've talked about that sounds like it's interesting, you want somebody else to hear it from us instead of you, that you feel it might be more effective, please look at any of those places. I'm going to get this freaking phone visual, getting people seen instead of just heard when I have guests. I'm going to get that fixed and figured out, I promise. But I want to thank my Smunchkin. I love you, Smunchkin. Okay, and but stay tuned, folks. Stay engaged, and until next time, uh, same black time, same black channel. See you Wednesday.